100%. We won, y'all lost. It's over. Come on with us. We dealt with Obama. We done with Obama for 8 years. We dealt through y'all shit for 8 years. I'll be damned.
So aren't you concerned that they're actually going to ruin the world that you live in? EPA guy doesn't believe in climate change. Said draining the swamp was getting rid of lobbyists, but then he brought in all these rich lobbyists to be here. He brought in and the Goldman Sachs and Exxon. How is that draining the swamp?
Trump is our president, the president of the United States. America is getting better. There are more jobs. Hire Americans first. He just said it in the speech. America first.
The two most unpopular candidates in American history, number one and number two. The more unpopular of them prevailed somehow, won the election. And now he is sworn in. He's president. He has succeeded Barack Obama, who was in some ways neoliberalism incarnate. The reign of reason. There is a enormous revulsion abroad in the country with what they see as liberals, what they understand liberalism to be. There is a huge disgust with what the Democratic Party represented. Hillary raised and spent twice as much money as Donald Trump, which is mind-blowing, right? Because just think about how that changes the way we talk about politics, where it's always, the guy with more money wins, right? Well, not this time. And she had twice as much as him. You drive around in the countryside, or once you're outside of the big cities, and it's Trump signs everywhere you go. And when people say that there's a reaction against globalization, that is correct. But what the question is, what do they mean by globalization? Does it mean that people all of a sudden hate Canadians? No. Does it mean that they hate Europeans? No. It means they hate the trade deals. But this has been building and building and building for a long time. And there's so many different facets to this. One of them is Bill Clinton himself getting NAFTA done, which was an incredible betrayal of his working class base, of the people that had just voted for him. And I talk to union audiences all the time. I talk to working class people all the time. Their bitterness about NAFTA has grown and grown and grown over the years. And I've written about this, I don't know how many times, a dozen times in my life. I mean, many times, about the public's hatred of NAFTA and of all these other trade deals. And liberals here in Washington, D.C. just brush this off. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen to it. They think it's, that's just racism. There's nothing that nothing we can do about that. But it's not true at all. This was a betrayal. This was a stab in the back. You talk to union guys and they'll say in every contract negotiation, the management waves NAFTA at us. The people on the other side of the table say, look, if we don't get our way, we're leaving. We're going to Mexico, or we're going to China, or we're going to, wherever, Guatemala, whatever, whoever we have a trade agreement with. They always use this weapon now. And that's, and the labor people say that's fucking Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. They're very bitter about this. Now, that's not because they are, they are closed-minded xenophobes. It's because this is the weapon that has been used to deindustrialize this country, and they can see that very plainly. It's obvious, You go to all over America and you say to people, what happened to the factory here? And why is it closed down? They're like, well, they moved it to, they moved it somewhere, Mexico or the South, Arkansas. It happens all the time. And they also threaten to move it all the time and use that as a weapon all the time. I mean, many times. So people are bitter about this. And about deindustrialization. Trump referred to deindustrialization in his speech. This has been a long time coming. When you bring up deindustrialization in this country, Democrats, liberals always say, oh, that was inevitable, and it's going to happen, it's automation, it's technology, it's just too bad, but there's nothing can be done about it. Oh my God. They walked right into it. And here's Trump promising to reverse it, promising to get those jobs back. Now, I don't know if he can do it or not, but the answer to that is not to just let the right wing steal your issue. It's like you just lost the election there, folks. And you can, when you want to go down the list and point to things that they did wrong, That's a big one, that they just blew those people off. Nothing can be done for you. Sorry. That's the party of the left? That sucks. The party itself is changing. And this is what I want to, this is the baseline point that I want to come back to, that the Democratic Party is changing, and that white working class people, or working class people generally, really, don't have a voice in the party anymore. I mean, they do to some degree. You have labor unions that participate in the party to some degree. But by and large, it is a party of the professional class today. And the professional class loves the Hillary Clinton personality type. Loves it. And they could not see anything wrong with her. And you could criticize her, you could, and they embraced her closely. So it's very convenient for them to blame it on the Russians and to forget about the white working class. But I have to say, this has happened before. They do not want to acknowledge this problem. And when you see a political party where this is obviously what's gone wrong for them, obviously, they lost Michigan, they lost Wisconsin, they lost Pennsylvania, and it's working class people that did it to them.
The Rust Belt.
The Rust Belt, Indiana, Missouri, and Iowa, and this is the category of Americans that change sides. So you can point to this and say that's obviously what your problem is, but you could do that in 2004 as well. Do you remember I wrote a book called "What's the Matter with Kansas?" that was about this problem, and it killed them in 2004. And my argument was really simple. This is the swing vote. Working class people are the swing vote. Pay attention to their concerns, okay? And the Democrats at first were very interested in hearing that, but after about a year, they decided that in fact that was not the problem. They didn't have to worry about it. It wasn't an issue. And then you had the financial crisis. All that stuff happened. The Bush administration exploded, and it got brushed away. And you didn't hear about it again. And now it's back in this enormous way. I mean, enormous in the sense that that this group of Americans just delivered the presidency to a man that really should not be president. That every safeguard in our system is supposed to keep guys like this from being president. And yet here he is. The Republican Party is changing, right? And instead of being a tool of the Koch brothers, of the billionaire class, it has this enormous working class base now. And those people don't want the government to do something with their Medicare and their Social Security. They want to keep that, right? They like those programs. And so Trump played to them. And all the stuff about trade deals, he played to that audience very well. The man destroyed the establishment wing of both parties. Destroyed them. And he destroyed two political dynasties, the Clintons and the Bushes. You remember? It was just a year ago. We were talking about how every election there's going to be another Clinton and another Bush, and we're stuck with these two families forever. And he wrecked all that. Republicans are in control all over the country in a kind of extraordinary way that I never thought possible when I was a child. We'll come to that later. But there is also hope, okay, that Democrats understand this now. Okay, and there's also the fact that Trump won, that this guy who had no business winning, is also very promising in a way. It shows that anything is possible in this country. And, a guy who doesn't know the first goddamn thing about politics, who's just a, TV celebrity where he used to play a billionaire. A guy like that can win the presidency is just fucking extraordinary.